The bullies thought a humiliating photo could destroy her life. They didn't know she had one screenshot that could destroy theirs. Before we uncover the shocking truth behind that single screenshot, make sure you're part of this community. Subscribe and join us, because this is a story about the quietest person in the room becoming the most powerful. The fluorescent light in the school bathroom hummed a sickly, indifferent tune, its harsh glare reflecting off the sterile white tiles. Crouched on the cold, damp floor, her knees pressing into the grout lines, was Maya. Her frame, usually held with a quiet, almost invisible posture, was folded in on itself, a broken doll in a torn green military-style jacket and a black skirt that now felt like a costume from a life she'd never get back. Her blonde hair, which had been neatly styled just an hour ago, was a tangled mess, partly because her own tears had matted it to her cheeks, and partly because of the violent yank from Liam's hand. Liam. The name echoed in her head, a sharp, painful spike with every heartbeat. He stood over her now, a colossus in his blue and yellow varsity jacket, the letters Eastside High Titans, stitched in proud, mocking thread. His laughter wasn't joyful, it was aggressive, a weaponized sound that bounced off the tiles and the porcelain of the sink and toilet, surrounding her, suffocating her. "Come on, Maya, smile for the camera!" He jeered, his grip tightening in her hair, forcing her head up. Her eyes, wide and swimming with a fresh wave of tears, met her own reflection in the smudged mirror over the sink. She saw a stranger, a ghost with smeared mascara and a look of pure, undiluted terror. Near the door, two other figures completed the tableau of her nightmare. Kyle, in a gray hoodie pulled low, just watched, his hands shoved in his pockets, a passive statue of complicity. And then there was Josh, Liam's ever-faithful chronicler, holding his phone steady, its red recording light a malevolent eye capturing her utter destruction. He was the one who had orchestrated this. He'd lured her here with a fake message about a study group project, his words digitally sweet and concerned. The moment she'd pushed the creaking wooden door open, Liam had grabbed her, his friends flanking the exit, turning this small, tiled room into a prison. "Just one little photo, that's all we wanted." Liam sneered, his breath hot against her ear. "For the group chat. Gotta keep everyone entertained, right?" He'd torn the top of her jacket, the one she'd saved for months to buy, the one that made her feel a sliver of confidence. The fabric gave way with a sickening rip. Josh zoomed in, his laughter a higher, pitched, more nervous counterpart to Liam's. This was the moment they wanted to preserve. Her humiliation, her powerlessness. This was the image they would broadcast to the entire school, to the world. Maya's mind, however, was doing something strange. Through the paralyzing fear and the crushing shame, a colder, sharper part of her was waking up. It was a part of her she'd buried deep, a part forged in a different kind of hardship. As another tear traced a hot path down her cheek, her eyes, for a split second, darted away from her own pathetic reflection. They didn't look at Liam's triumphant face or Josh's gleeful recording. They flickered down to the phone in Liam's other hand. He was holding it casually, his thumb scrolling, probably already selecting which group chat to bless with her degradation. And on that screen, for just a moment, she saw something. A glimpse of a different conversation. A name. A fragment of text that was a nuclear bomb disguised in plain sight. It was there and gone, but her brain, trained for pattern recognition and minute details, captured it. It was a screenshot burned onto the back of her eyelids. The bathroom door slammed shut, the sound echoing like a gunshot in the sudden silence. They were gone. The only evidence they'd ever been there was the torn fabric on her shoulder, the throbbing in her scalp, and the chilling emptiness they left behind. Maya stayed on the floor for a long time, her body trembling, listening to the drip, drip, drip from the faulty faucet. It sounded like a countdown. The bomb detonated 2 hours later. Maya was in her bedroom, a sanctuary of soft blankets and textbooks, trying and failing to pretend the world was still normal. Her phone, which had been ominously quiet, suddenly erupted. A chorus of pings, buzzes, and vibrations, a digital avalanche of attention she never wanted. She picked it up with trembling hands. The screen was a mosaic of notifications. Instagram DMs, Snapchat stories, texts from numbers she didn't recognize. And there, at the top of the school's unofficial gossip page, was the photo. It was worse than she remembered. Her face was a mask of pure agony, eyes screwed shut, mouth open in a silent scream. The torn jacket, the exposed shoulder, Liam's hand a brutal fist in her hair. The caption was simple, vicious. Guess who's the new school mattress? Slag Maya is open for business. The comments were a feeding frenzy, laughing emojis. OMG, knew it, so desperate. Each one was a tiny, precise cut. She felt the walls of her room, her safe space, shrink in on her. The air grew thick and hard to breathe. This was it. This was the end of Maya. The quiet, studious girl was gone, replaced by this digital phantom, this meme of shame. She thought about calling her mom, but her mom worked 2 jobs and carried enough worry on her shoulders for a lifetime. She thought about the school principal, Mr. Davison, a man who valued the Titans' winning season above all else. She knew how that would go. It would be her word against theirs. Liam, the star wide receiver, Josh, the dean's list student. They were golden boys. She was just Maya. The narrative was already written, and she was the villain, the punchline. As she scrolled through the torrent of abuse, a strange calm began to settle over the panic. It was the calm of having nothing left to lose. The memory of that glimpse on Liam's phone screen resurfaced, clear and sharp. The screenshot, it wasn't a weapon of emotion. It wasn't about crying or pleading. It was a weapon of fact, cold, hard, undeniable fact. She got up, locked her bedroom door, and sat down at her old laptop. The hum of its fan was a purposeful sound, a replacement for the sickly hum of the bathroom light. She wasn't the girl on the floor anymore. She was someone else. She was a strategist. She opened a blank document and began to type not a plea for help but a plan. A step-by-step meticulous plan of digital warfare. The first phase was intelligence. She created a fake social media profile, piecing it together from fragments of a cousin's vacation photos and a name she found in an old yearbook. She looked normal, unthreatening. She sent friend requests to Liam, Josh, and Kyle. Liam and Kyle accepted within minutes, their digital hubris making them easy targets. Josh was more cautious, but a follow request from a pretty, generic girl was usually a safe bet for an ego boost. She was in. For days, she was a ghost in their machines. She watched their stories. She noted their habits. Liam posted constantly, a stream of gym selfies and party pics. Josh was more careful, but he had a habit of linking his other, more private accounts in his bios. Kyle was the weak link. He wasn't bright, and his privacy settings were a joke. She learned where they hung out, who their other friends were, the specific crude language they used in their own circles. She was building a profile. She was learning her enemy. But the key, the linchpin of her entire plan, was that screenshot. The one she'd seen for a fraction of a second. It was a conversation in a group chat they thought was private. A chat with a name she memorized, Titan Inner Circle. In that brief flash, she'd seen a message from Liam. It wasn't about her. It was about the team's star quarterback, Ben Carter, and it contained a single explosive phrase, the injectables, followed by a winking emoji. Her mind, the mind everyone at school dismissed as just being good for homework, connected the dots. Ben Carter's miraculous recovery from a shoulder injury last season. His sudden, explosive growth in muscle mass. The constant, whispered rumors that were always quickly shut down by the coaching staff. The injectables. It could only mean one thing, performance-enhancing drugs, and not just for Ben. The way Liam had said it implied it was a team thing, a system. A secret that, if exposed, wouldn't just ruin a few reputations, it would decimate the entire Eastside High football program, invalidate their championship title, and get coaches and boosters fired. She had the nuclear code. But a code is useless without a delivery system. She couldn't just post it anonymously. It would be denied, dismissed as a fake, a jealous rumor from a bitter girl. She needed proof, corroboration, and she needed to present it in a way that could not be ignored. This led to the second, most dangerous phase of her plan: infiltration. Using the habits she'd learned from Kyle's profile, she found out that the Titan Inner Circle chat was on an encrypted app, one they felt safe using. She needed access. She crafted a phishing email, something so specific it couldn't be ignored. Posing as the app's security team, she sent a message to Josh's link email, the one he used for less savory online activities. Suspicious login attempt from a new device detected. Click here to verify your identity and secure your account. The link led to a fake login page she'd built herself. It was a gamble, a huge one. But Josh, paranoid about his phone being taken by his parents, took the bait. He entered his credentials. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs as she saw the data flow in. She was inside. She navigated to the Titan Inner Circle chat, and there it was, a treasure trove of corruption, not just about the steroids, detailed discussions of sourcing, of injection cycles, of which coach turned a blind eye. There were photos of tests being smuggled, of answers being shared for key classes. There was talk of parties with underage girls with specific damning details. And there, pinned at the top, was the conversation she'd glimpsed. Liam's message about the injectables, followed by a string of messages from others, including the team captain, discussing money and suppliers. It was all there, a digital confession. She took screenshots, hundreds of them. She methodically documented every crime, every ethical violation, every ugly secret. She saved them to multiple encrypted cloud drives in a hidden folder on her laptop. The power she held in her hands was immense, terrifying. She could feel its weight. The public humiliation of Maya, however, continued unabated. The photo was now part of the school's ecosystem. She was shoved in hallways, whispered about in the cafeteria, where she now ate alone in a corner. Liam would smirk at her, a silent reminder of his power. He had no idea that the mouse he was tormenting was quietly assembling a trap that would break the entire pack of wolves. The final phase was delivery. She couldn't just leak it to the school newspaper. The faculty advisor was the football coach's wife. She needed a bigger, more public stage. She decided on a two-pronged attack. First, she created a new, anonymous social media account. She didn't fill it with the evidence, not yet. She simply posted the original, humiliating photo of her in the bathroom. The caption was simple. This was taken by Liam Ross, posted by Josh Miller, and watched by Kyle Barrett. This is what bullying looks like at Eastside High. The truth is coming. Tomorrow. The post was shared hundreds of times within an hour. The school was buzzing. Liam and his friends were initially defiant, posting laughing emojis and calling her crazy. But you could sense a flicker of uncertainty in their responses. What truth? The next morning, Maya didn't go to school. She sat at her laptop, her finger hovering over the mouse. This was the point of no return. She took a deep breath, the image of herself crying on the bathroom floor flashing in her mind. Then she clicked. From the anonymous account, she began to post. Not a long, emotional rant, just the evidence. She started with the screenshot of Liam's message about the injectables. Then she posted the surrounding context from the chat, the discussions of suppliers. She posted the screenshots about the academic cheating. She posted the details of the parties. Each post was a precise, surgical strike. She tagged local news stations, the school district, the state athletic association. She used every relevant hashtag. The internet exploded. It was a firestorm. The initial post about her photo had primed the pump. Now, the entire community was watching this anonymous account, and the damning evidence kept coming. The school's phones began ringing off the hook. Parents were furious. News vans pulled into the parking lot. By the end of the day, the world had been turned upside down. Liam, Josh, and Kyle were pulled from their classes by stone-faced administrators. The football team was suspended pending a full investigation. The championship title was put under review. The story was the lead on the local evening news. The narrative had completely flipped. The bullies were now the villains on a grand scale, their actions contextualized not as a childish prank, but as part of a deep-seated culture of corruption and entitlement. Maya was no longer the school mattress. She was a potential whistleblower, a symbol of a victim fighting back in the most spectacular way possible. A week later, the school held an emergency assembly. The air in the auditorium was thick with tension. Maya sat near the back, her hood up, watching. The principal, Mr. Davison, looking 10 years older, walked to the podium. His voice was heavy as he announced the expulsions of Liam Ross, Josh Miller, and Kyle Barrett for bullying, harassment, and their involvement in the wider athletic and academic scandal. He announced the resignation of the head football coach and the athletic director. The championship trophy was being returned. It was a total system collapse. As students filed out, shell-shocked, Maya felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Ben Carter, the quarterback. His face was pale, his eyes hollow. "Was it you?" he whispered. She just looked at him, her expression unreadable. He didn't need an answer. He nodded slowly, a look of grim understanding on his face, and walked away. Maya walked out of the school alone. The autumn sun was warm on her face. The weight was gone. The ghost of the girl in the bathroom had been laid to rest. She had used their own world, their own tools of digital destruction, against them. They had tried to destroy her with a single photo. She had destroyed their entire world with a single screenshot. She wasn't just a victim who had gotten revenge. She was a force of nature. She had been backed into a corner, broken down to her most primal core, and from that place of utter nothingness, she had found not just the will to survive, but the blueprint to win. The quiet girl had spoken, and her voice had shaken the foundations of everything they held dear. In the weeks that followed, a strange new normal settled over East Side High. The hallways, once dominated by the swagger of varsity jackets, were now filled with a more cautious, reflective energy. The school board implemented a stringent new anti-bullying and anti-harassment policy, with mandatory digital citizenship workshops for every student. An anonymous tip line, ironically inspired by the method of Maya's own revelation, was established for reporting misconduct. The community, initially fractured by the scandal, began to slowly heal, but the scars were visible, a constant reminder of the toxicity that had festered beneath the surface. For Maya, the victory was not without its complexities. The notoriety she gained was a double-edged sword. While many saw her as a hero, a quiet champion for the voiceless, others viewed her with a wary, almost fearful respect. She had proven herself capable of a level of strategic, ruthless precision that was terrifying in its effectiveness. She had not just fought back, she had orchestrated a total systemic annihilation. She found herself eating lunch not entirely alone, but with a small, rotating group of students who seemed drawn to her newfound power, some out of genuine solidarity, others out of a desire to be close to the person who had reshaped their world. She learned to navigate these interactions with the same careful observation she had used in her digital hunt, her trust a fortress that few were allowed to enter. She started seeing a therapist, paid for by a fund set up by a group of sympathetic parents, and there, in the quiet safety of that office, she began the long, arduous work of separating the strategist, the avenger, from the traumatized girl on the bathroom floor. She learned that power, once taken, must be integrated, or it becomes a different kind of prison. She started a blog, anonymously at first, about digital self-defense and personal privacy, which slowly gained a following. She found a purpose in her pain, using her hard-won knowledge to help others armor themselves against the kind of attack she had endured. The story of the screenshot became legend, a modern-day fable told and retold, its details sometimes exaggerated, but its core truth intact, that in the age of information, the most dangerous person is not the one who shouts the loudest, but the one who watches, who listens, and who knows exactly where to apply the smallest amount of pressure to make the entire corrupt structure crumble. Maya, the quiet girl with the photographic memory and a mind for code, had not just gotten even, she had evolved. She had transformed from prey into a protector, her gaze forever changed, seeing not just what was presented to her, but the invisible architecture of power, manipulation, and truth that lay beneath. The victory was not in the ruins she left behind, but in the future she was now, carefully and deliberately building for herself. This story is a testament to the fact that the person you underestimate is often the one with the most power. It's a reminder that in the digital age, the truth is the most potent weapon of all. To everyone watching this, I have a question. From which part of a country are you watching this video? Let me know in the comments below.